James Camel Knees Johnson.
Why his last name got to be
Brother of
Johnson?
Jesus. I don't know. It just felt like it worked.
Yeah.
Camel knees.
It sounds like a fullback or something like
It
that.
does.
Yeah,
Oh,
it does. Like, you better not tackle it.
Oh, watch out.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Pastor's Hangover. My name is Melissa, and each week I get to chat with some of the pastors and wonderful people at Grace Family Church. And this week we have with us Pastor Hal Mayer.
Happy Zone Summer Week.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Pastor Daryl Black,
Here we go. Let's do it.
and Pastor Ralph Johnson. Welcome to the
hello,
show.
everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Let's go.
Yes, and a very exciting week. This is our Kids Week.
Yeah,
They're
it's
off the
been
charts.
crazy around here right now. It's
Yeah.
nuts. It's awesome.
Over
Yeah.
1,000 kids. I
Yeah.
think it's 1,100 kids are here worshiping, learning. You can go see some of the clips of it on Instagram. It is just powerful to
Very
see these
cool.
kids together.
Very cool. And they smell,
Awesome.
but it's awesome.
It's
Yeah.
They smell like kids who've been running around sweating
They
and
do.
screaming and hollering. And
It's one of those things. I think we
Wow.
should give away like deodorant packs to the fifth graders coming
Oh,
in.
it's like a kids conference.
It's like,
It is.
Right.
It is.
It's
strong.
All week.
It is.
Not the smell. This conference.
The conference.
Smell.
And
The conference is really
the Lord
strong.
is here.
The Lord.
The Lord is here.
That's good.
All right.
Here we go.
We're
Yeah.
going to move on. We are going to talk about Pastor Ralph's message this weekend on Ezra. And we've gotten a bunch of questions, some amazing feedback. One, how heartfelt and sincere the message was. Like, you could just tell it came straight from the gut, like right out of your heart. Anything you want to share before we dive in on just overflow, how you're feeling, anything that you didn't get to share?
Yeah, it was heavy. It was but I mean, it was definitely God's presence. His hand was there, and so after I went back and read the story again, again, 4 chapters, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Ezra's 10 chapters long, but his story is in 7, 8, 9, and 10. And there's so much that I missed, right? There's so much that I wish I could have said,
What was like a cool thing?
when King Xerxes
Xerxes,
writes this letter. I mean, like, it's so detailed in what he's telling Ezra to do when he gets back. And Ezra's, there's this picture. He like in the letter, he's like, and use the book that is in your hand in order to reestablish worship, in order to reestablish, to appoint judges and magistrates and this and that. And I was just like, wow. I said, it just really painted a picture of Ezra as this, this man that's so tied to God's word, right?
Yeah.
He's just so remaining with God and like holding on to God that when people see him, that's what they remember, And one of the other thing that stuck out to me was, he was living so that God would never be forgotten, and it's I just been wrestling with that a lot lately, like, all right, man, what message is my life preaching, and how am I living? So yeah, it was good. I'm still there.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think the thing
powerful.
that just stood out, and you said this before, was he just stuck to the basics.
he did.
Right.
Yeah.
He did what we're supposed to do.
Right.
I think we can overcomplicate the Christian life so often. Like
Yeah.
we can make it more than it has to be and more complicated than that. I mean, it's basic. Spend time with God.
Right.
Get to know God.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, get in community, get to know God.
Right.
And that's what we're supposed to do. But I think we
Right.
do. We look at, I think this is what we do. We look at what other people's lives are doing and how maybe God's blessed them or they've gotten what we think we need.
Right.
And we try to copy what they did.
Yeah.
And we forget
Right.
about, it becomes less about getting to know God. It becomes more about God, just getting what God wants in this algorithm or this equation
you
of, if I
go.
do this,
There
this,
you
and
go.
this, then God's going to give me this.
Yeah.
I've always said it's like a spiritual vending machine.
Yeah.
I hit this, and this. So God, you give me this. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, the goal always with God and a relationship with God is for you to get to know him more.
Yeah.
Right.
And then through that, you
Right.
get those things.
Know
Yeah.
his character. Know
Yeah.
who he is. Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
I love you said this. He said, just follow the book.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote all these things down. Hey, just follow this. Just
Right.
do this.
Just do this.
Just follow the playbook, and you're going to be all right.
Right.
No matter how you feel or what you see or what you think, man, if you just follow the playbook, wouldn't our lives be so much better if we just followed
Right.
the playbook?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
like, this is my digital Bible. Just
Right.
Yeah.
everything that we need is already in there. You don't got to make nothing up. You don't have to figure anything out. It's in the playbook. And so if we just follow that, our lives will be easier. But there is, we do have to talk about, because I get asked all the time, people think because we have answers or because we're in the Word, that it's easier for us.
Yeah.
No.
And that we're not challenged by the same things that other people are challenged by. So, I would love for us to talk a minute about why it's so difficult to follow the playbook.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Well, no, I mean, we see it. We've had conversations about this, and we see it continue to happen. You see people in positions of Christian authority who continue to fall.
Yeah.
And it's because they've forgotten the playbook. Because it's very easy. I'll just say this. It is very easy when you get up to a teaching position, a position of authority, to think and to believe that you have it all together.
Right.
Or you're smart enough to do this on your own, or you've got yourself this far, and you fall out of relationship with God, you fall out of the study with God, or my only time that I study is when I'm getting ready for a message.
There you go. There you
I'm
go.
getting ready to teach.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it is no longer about my relationship with God. It becomes all about me teaching other people.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's very, very easy to go that way. And we deal with the same temptations everybody else does.
There you go. There's
It's
no
always
temptation that is
there.
overcoming us
Yes.
that is not common to man. I met with a guy this morning and talked to him about it. Like, there's nothing that is not common. The thing that you're going through, the thing that you're struggling with, most likely there's some other people struggling with it. That's one of the things that stood out to me was when Tracy and I, we got on the prayer team. When we first came to Grace, and it wasn't when we first came, but after a while, and it really, really changed our perspective on, like, we're not the only people going through stuff. Like, people are going through some pretty heavy things. And so it gives an opportunity to pray with and for people. And, I think when you talk about that remaining, right, staying close to God's hand, and why is it so difficult when we get out there, like the boomerang, right?
Yeah.
When we get out there, we kind of lose our mind a little bit, right? We're
Yeah.
just like, man, what's going on? And it's simply because I think there's something in us that, we're flesh, obviously.
Yeah.
We're human, obviously. And we have to remain as close as we can to God. Like, that is the essential thing.
Yeah.
Is really diving in and getting that daily plan. Like, God, all right, my daily bread, what's my portion for today?
Yeah.
And trying our best to walk that out.
Yeah.
Man, I think of Daniel all the time because there's so many. We look through the Bible, and one of the good things is we see a lot of people that mess up just like us.
Yeah.
Oh,
But the one thing about Daniel that stands out is he didn't. Not that he didn't have sin,
right.
but he stayed true.
Yeah.
Stay true.
And what we know about him was every single day, 3 times a day, he went to his upper room.
Right.
He prayed.
Right.
Yeah.
He spent time with God every single day. So much so that he got thrown in lion's den for it.
Right.
Like,
Right.
Like that's what happened to him. But that's what we see. We're starting a series upcoming this week on James.
Yes.
And it's going to be awesome. Guys, here's the deal. We're starting a series. We're going to have something to walk through so you can walk through it on your own. We've got groups starting, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. It is so we can study God's word and understand it at a greater level. But James, he's known as, one of his nicknames, a horrible nickname, was Camel Knees. And it was because he spent so much time praying. And guys, this is Jesus' brother. So if you want to talk about somebody that knew Jesus well,
Right.
like that knew him, yet he felt the need to spend so much time in prayer. Why? Because we need the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And that is so easy to give a couple of counseling thoughts or a couple different ideas and go, you know what, I'm pretty good at this. I think I can just do this.
Yeah.
Right.
And you just do it on your own.
The hubris to think you can do it on your own.
Yeah.
But Camel Knees, I like that. We got to bring that back.
Camel
James Camel Knees Johnson,
Why is last
the
name got to be
brother of
Johnson?
Jesus. I don't know. It just felt like it worked.
Yeah.
Camel Knees. I just
Sounds like a fullback or something like
It
that.
does.
Yeah, it does. It does. Like, you better not tackle it.
Oh,
Man,
watch
one of
out.
the- yeah.
left tackle straight out of Georgia State, James Camel Knees Johnson.
There you go.
Okay. All right.
No.
Well, that actually.
That was a great transition.
I love
If-
the segue.
Yes.
Oh, I always have a good segue.
That was good.
It
She's like, all right,
flowed
guys, please stop
perfect.
talking so we
Yeah.
can go to something.
Camel knees. Really, the return or remain was a huge part of the message, right? And you guys already talked about remain, and that was a question we got. How do you remain in the presence of God? How did Ezra remain?
Can I add before you finish?
Yeah.
When we're talking about remaining, and I want to say this to everybody that's watching. Remaining isn't easy.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's not easy. I know we struggle. We have stuff because we all got stuff. Everybody, one of us in. So we all got stuff.
Right.
So remaining isn't easy. Like my nickname is Daryl Camel Knees. I don't pray always because I want to. I pray because I know I need to.
right.
And so it's a discipline that I've built in my life to go,
Right.
I know what's on the other side.
Right.
I know who I used to be. I know what I'm susceptible to. So I know the stuff that I like that I shouldn't be around. So I put these safeguards and these guardrails in my life to go, no, here's why I study and read the Bible so much. Not just because I want to teach it. I want it in my heart.
Right.
It's the Bible that says, thy word have I hidden in my heart so that I won't sin against you.
Right.
It literally means I put the word in my heart as a guide for living. It doesn't mean I'm perfect. No, I'm not perfect. I think messed up stuff just like everybody else. I go through the same struggles, but I do these things because I know.
Yeah.
And the other side of it is I see the benefit of following the playbook.
Right.
Like God's promises are real.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When you follow the playbook, like you actually score. You actually get what he
Right.
says you're going to get.
Yep.
Right.
And so it keeps your life in the right alignment to get everything that you're supposed to get
Right.
from God. And so you said it in your message. There's a difference between knowing and doing.
Right.
Yeah.
No one ever lost weight because they knew
Yeah.
I
they,
wish.
they
Yeah.
needed to lose
I
weight.
know this diet plan.
Yeah, we'd all be
Right.
looking like the Incredible Hulk if we just walked around saying, "I know."
I know.
I know
Yeah.
how to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I've done it.
No,
Right.
so
Yeah.
there's you got to know and do.
Yeah.
Right. And I do think that piece, the transformation piece, is what I just pray that you get this because, and this means so much to me. I think that's why a lot of the passion came out in this because I meet people all the time. I got family members and they know a whole lot about the Bible. Could quote scriptures.
Yeah.
They can do, but their struggles are like they don't overcome anything
Yeah,
because you're not applying. Like there's no transformation in knowledge. Transformation comes in application.
yeah,
Transformation comes when you fell down. Okay, righteous man gets up 7 times. Like get back up. Okay, you can do this. You can do it. Okay, well, not going to drive around that corner again. Not going to click that button again. You got me that time. Now I know not going to stay up late at night. Going to put the remote over there. Going to put my cell phone on the other side of the bed. Going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's this discipline
yep,
that works for us individually that causes transformation in our life.
yeah,
Where we start to look like Christ. And I said this weekend, I haven't arrived and none of us have.
No.
And all of us are trying to look like Jesus at the end of the day. Like we won't look totally like him until we see him face to face.
yeah,
So allow God to continue to work those things out of your life.
Yep.
Right. And so, I just think that's where the hard work comes in
Yeah.
as a believer. It's discipline
Yeah. Because it takes time.
and it takes time.
We want it to happen
Yeah.
overnight.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. I
Right.
think that's the biggest reason why we fall off the track many times is we're just not we're like, I want this to happen quicker. Or we do what we said. We add in other things just because of it. Like, oh, I want this to happen quicker, so I'll fast. Or I want this to happen quicker, so I'll
There
go on
it
a
is.
mission trip. Or I'll go
Right.
do these things.
Right.
And it's like, no, it just takes time.
yeah,
I'll tell you what, I think that one of the biggest honors, and I see it as an honor now, I didn't early on, is doing funerals because I was scared to death of doing funerals early on as a pastor. But when you get to do a funeral for someone that did it like consistently,
yeah,
and you see the joy and you see the relationships and you see the life change and all that, like it really is a celebration. And we
Right.
call it a celebration of life.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is. And that's the thing that always you got to remind yourself of. I'm going towards something.
yeah,
Right.
I am. And it's really not worth it.
Yeah.
When you look at the end, it's not worth it. But it's kind of boring. It's the same thing.
Right.
I got to continue to go after. Not that life doesn't change, but I got to do the same thing. But it requires faith and it takes time.
yeah. And I think we just listening to both of that. I think sometimes we get stuck because we've adopted modification over transformation. And we've accepted modification as transformation, and they are not the same. Modification is that thing where someone says, well, I need this, so I'm going to fast. and you see a little bit of change. So then because you see a little bit of change, you go, okay, I'm good.
I'm good now.
Well, no, that's modification, and you didn't need the Holy Spirit to do that.
Wow.
Right.
You could have done that on your own.
Right.
That you didn't need God for that. That was you.
Right.
You got up. You read that. But transformation is a spiritual process. It's a like I don't know where this came from, but I heard somebody say we're satisfied with being fast caterpillars instead of butterflies. We've become better caterpillars instead of allowing God to do a metamorphosis in us.
Yeah.
And so we change a little bit of this and a little bit of that so we can say we're Christians.
Right.
But we're not really committed to losing things, letting things go, sacrificing, disciplining ourselves,
Right.
being consistent.
Yes.
We don't want to do that's the metamorphosis.
Yeah.
But we're just fast caterpillars. That he attributed to the person that just comes to church every week. But there's no transformation in your life just because you come. You got to let God work on you so that process can begin. And so we've got to trade the one for the other. But real transformation is saying, God, I give you my whole life. It is Romans 12:1. It is, I'm giving everything up to you. It is Luke says, I'm giving you my heart, my mind, my body, and my soul. It's all yours. And I trust you for the process.
Yes.
That's what metamorphosis looks like. So.
And look, we're not saying fasting or any of those things are bad.
Right.
It's just, what's the reason that you're doing it?
Right.
Because I do. Fasting is a regular part of my journey as I follow God. That is something that I do regularly. I'm taking my son on a mission trip to Cambodia with his own.
Yeah.
Like, we're doing those things, but it's not because I'm going, oh, I want this to change in him overnight, or I want this to change. I'm going, I want a closer relationship with God. That's my goal.
Yep.
That's what I'm doing. Whatever comes out of it is what God wanted to do anyway.
Exactly.
And so that's what I'm seeking.
Cool.
Okay.
We're back to you.
All right.
We
Well,
just randomly
we
just
could-
I'm
we
wondering
could-
if I should do a different question or the last question.
I
All
don't
right, we'll
know.
go back to the last question. It was on remain.
It was on remaining.
It was
Yeah.
on remain.
Right.
So let's just dive in. One more question on remain. And it's someone asking for advice. I am in a situation and I want to leave, but I know that God's called me to remain. What would your advice be for that person?
Remain.
Can I give the caveat real quick? Can I give the one caveat that I just want to say? Because I don't know the situation.
Right.
And I've heard of very bad situations. So if this is an abusive situation, God's not calling you to
He
stay.
ain't calling you to
I just
stay.
want to say that because I've heard of situations. Well, I believe God wants me. No, if it's abusive, you don't need to be there. Okay? No. I just want
I think
And can I add a caveat on that?
caveat, your caveat.
I'm gonna caveat this caveat. We have to be clear in what we're defining as abusive, because when people want to get out of stuff, everything is
everything's
abusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like the way they talk to me. It's abusive. He didn't bring home Chick-fil-A. That's abusive. That
is pretty
we've
abusive.
made
Right.
trust me. I coach couples for years. Anything that they don't like has become abusive behavior. So I can leave if he's abusive. Well, how is he abusive? He don't put gas in my car anymore. Wait a minute. Hold on. Let's back up.
Yeah.
Right.
And so you really have to define that biblically. What is God called abusive? And really be clear on what is God telling you to do. When someone says, God is telling me, God is telling me,
Right.
with God, there's always confirmation. And so
Sure.
bring other people into this conversation, people who are wise, people who can be objective. Is this really the Lord? That people that can really give you wisdom and say, okay, if the Lord is saying this, let's agree with this together that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
So we know what that is. But I think the other side of that is, if you know without a shadow of a doubt that you're having those conversations with the right people and God is telling you to remain, then you remain.
You remain.
It's hard, but remain. But even when God instructs you to remain, he doesn't leave you without instructions. He doesn't leave you without stuff to do.
Right.
It's not like, hey, just remain, just chill, and then you gonna be good. It's always something. Whatever that something is remain and serve. Maybe you're serving your community. Maybe you're serving at the church. Maybe you're serving your children at this time. Maybe it's a job.
Right.
And you want to leave this job, and God is
Right.
going, no, Because I talk to people who want to leave their job and look, but they don't realize sometimes your calling is at your job.
Mm-hmm.
You may not like the career, but God called you there.
Right. He's placed
because
you
it's
there.
not the career that's the issue. It's
Right.
I want you to do a ministry at the place that you're in. And so
Right.
while your job may not be your calling may be at your job.
Right.
So it's maybe he's keeping you there for that reason. Maybe God is growing something in you. He needs to develop you for the next season. So I need you to remain so that you can get what you need for the next season. Right. And so that all of those require some vision and perspective and wisdom of voices around you.
Wise counsel would solve
Right.
so much.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Because, and you said it, because we have people go, well, God told me. Okay. I can't say God didn't tell you.
Well, yeah,
I can't
I'm
say
out.
that.
I'm done.
But let's talk about it.
It
because-
shuts down a lot of
What-
conversations.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. If
People-
God told you, why are we talking?
People tend to use it as that trump card.
Yeah,
well, God's,
of
well, then,
course.
of course.
Yeah.
Well, then okay, go do it.
Yeah.
But and I've had people go, well, everybody's telling me not to, but I feel like God's telling me to. I'm like, well, are they good Christian people that are telling you this is not a good
Right,
idea?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and usually it's a relationship, but
Yeah.
and so godly counsel, man,
Mm-hmm.
guys, we have so leaned out of community and counsel.
Yeah.
But that is the answer many times to affirming what God is already doing. Because a lot of times it's us that wants that thing.
Right.
Or it's hurt from, there's so many things that influence it, but we need other people in our life to help us out.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say about that, and the other thing is, I mean, like God's calling me, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of voices.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've discovered is this. How do you just discern God's voice, even away from your own?
Yeah.
Because trust me, there's a lot of things that I could sit here and be like, man, God called me to, because that's what I want, right?
Yeah.
But, there's a term we use in Wednesday night Bible study, put the word on it. Corliss came out there, one of our teachers, she put the word on it. Like, find it in the Bible before you say God said it.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I think people just say, oh, God told me. That don't even sound like God, like what you just said, right?
Yeah.
So let's, again, going back, study, obedience, and sharing. If you can do the SOS, those three things, right, to remain and to know, all right, God, this is what your voice sounds like. And that's what Ezra did. Yeah. God's calling me to lead the people back. Yeah, Ezra, he is, because that's exactly what God was doing in that period of time. So God is calling you to do that. Take that book in your hand. I'm going to change the heart of the Persian king, and we're going to go back. He was right in God's will because he had God's word in his hand. He understood the character of God. And if you don't spend time with someone, you'll never know their character.
Nope.
There's things that you can ask my kids right now, and they'll be like, my dad didn't say that.
Right.
I know my dad. You know what I mean? Like, my dad didn't send you to pick me up from zone summer because my dad, you know what I mean? Like, there's just certain things because you know the character of the person, right? And so they can't be duped.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of people in American culture and Christianity that's been duped. And then they're bitter with the church. The church is not the issue. Fall in love with Jesus. Fall in love with the Bible.
Right.
Study the Bible. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the church is simply a representation of God, and we're fallible. I mean, we fall too, right?
Yeah.
We see a lot of that right now.
Yeah.
But man, if you can just spend time with the Lord and know who he is and discover his character, then you can discern his voice and understand what he's asking you to do.
And if you want to know more about that, you can watch the episode from last week where we talk about how to hear the voice of God.
That was good.
That's true.
Yeah.
Daryl dove in last week.
That was a very good
on-
infomercial.
It was. Thank you.
That was good.
Did that work?
You're welcome.
You selling some prayer cloths
There you
too?
go.
Or just by-
Oh, boy.
You can buy this Jesus spring water.
Oh, man.
But I will link last week's Pastor Hangover in the YouTube version, and I'll link Ralph's message in the YouTube version as well. So you can go listen to the Ezra message, and you can study and lean into a lot of this stuff. And there's so many resources out there
Oh, my gosh.
for you guys to dive in and understand the word. But let's talk about something that you just said. You just hit on it. And in your message, you talked about there's a lot of influencers. There's a lot of voices. Everyone can put a microphone in front of them these days and have a platform. Very easy.
Yeah.
And Ralph said, who's influencing your influencers? And I was like, whoa. And he said, if it's not the word of God that's influencing your influencers, what are you doing listening to them?
Right.
And the question for you guys is how do you decide who influences you? What do you look for? I mean, what do you shut down when you see it, or what would be your recommendations for people? Because if you're scrolling, I mean, these days it's just podcast content after podcast content, and everyone has an opinion, but what is truth?
Yeah.
I think the way I share with people is you got to look at someone's body of work.
Yes.
There you go.
We spend time, we have way too much trust in people for 60 seconds.
That's good.
We have way too much trust. We got an entire Bible that we won't read. But we will change our direction in life and our goals because we saw a 60-second clip that someone said.
Right.
And we don't know their body of work. We don't know where they come from. We don't know what they think about. And I think,
but they agreed with me.
Yeah, they agreed with how I was feeling.
Right.
So that must be
They
right. No,
affirmed me.
listen, anything that you hear that you go, man, I like that. Go watch the long form. Find out where did that come from? Where did that really extend from? Because you can find yourself caught up in liking someone so much that you don't recognize that they're dropping bad seed in your life.
Right.
Wow.
Because they're saying words to you that you like and that feel good.
Right.
And so you forget. And you're only listening to them for 30 to 60 seconds at a time. And so I like their voice. I like the way they do. They're just real. They're just keeping it real. Well, go watch the long form.
Right.
Yeah.
And then find out, man, like you said, what are you listening to? What books are they reading? What's influencing them? Are they getting their wisdom and knowledge from the Word of God? And you will discover that a lot of these people are getting their knowledge from other influences.
Right.
They're not
crazy
even
to
studying.
think about.
Right.
So they're
Right.
just regurgitating
Right.
what someone else said
Right.
Yeah.
on their platform. It's
Right.
like, wait a minute, I've heard this 1,000 times
Right.
in 1,000 different ways,
Right.
and now it's not even the original thing that it was
Right.
anymore. You've stripped it. It's bare bones. It's not good. Don't let anything outside of who your father is influence you more than what the Word of God is.
Yeah.
Nothing should have more influence on
Right.
that. Because when you know your father's voice, you judge everything by your father's voice.
Right.
Yep, I like this person, but you know what? I love him more. And this don't sound right. It feels good,
Yeah.
but it doesn't sound
doesn't
right.
sound
And we
right.
got to be careful of that. I believe it's in 2 Timothy. Tell me if I'm wrong. But in 2 Timothy, it says that they will trade the truth for a lie, and they will look for.
Yes.
You're going to look for prophets. You're going to look for people that tell you stuff that make
That
you
agree.
feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Itchy ears. Yep.
So it's you, man, you got to be so diligent.
Right.
And going, no, I got to be careful who I listen to. Earlier today, we were talking about what our algorithm looks like, on our feed. And someone looked at mine and said, my feed is boring because I watched the same kind of stuff over and over again. It was so boring that to myself, I had to type something fancy in just because I was bored. It's like, is this all I look at? Is this all I watch? Because I love apologetics and I love deep Bible thinkers and I love that kind of stuff. And so I study these guys. I don't just listen to somebody for 30 seconds. I want to go, man, if this was good for 30, let me hear what your whole content is.
Right.
And sometimes I've discovered, oh no, this person is a wackadoo.
Right.
Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about
Right.
at all. That moment felt
Right.
good, but his whole theology is off, or his
Right.
morality, it doesn't look good.
Right.
And we've got to spend time being more diligent because the world, man, your life is at stake.
Yes.
Your
Yes.
life, our lives are formed by how we think.
Yes.
And so all the things that we're allowing to come through our eyes, our ears, and our brain, we're living those things out. And we're planting seeds in our life. And those seeds are being given to our children,
Right.
which again will be children's children.
Yeah.
How have we gotten to the state that we are in the world is because we spent the last 15 years listening to 10 seconds and 30 seconds and 60 seconds and being influenced by things that have no depth.
Yeah. I mean, literally, people are making political decisions based on
Yeah.
Yeah.
influencers online. They're, even my husband's like, look at this new diet I found, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, we're going to make a diet plan based on someone that's jacked and
New
post a
workout.
6-second video.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Stuff don't have it got no research.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't know.
They just say, did you know in the latest blah, 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 and they don't list it.
Yes.
They just say it, and I'm like, what is it? Well, no, please tell me what it is.
Where'd that come from? Who did that?
Right. So let's keep debunking influencers.
Well,
Ralph.
a couple of things. The Bereans. Acts. Was it in Acts?
Yeah.
They every day they heard what the apostle said, and it said that they went and studied.
Yep.
They took what they said and said, and here's my question. Like, I hope everyone is on our app taking notes in church every single weekend so that you can question what's been said.
Yeah.
Right.
So that you can say, man, is that really what that says? And then you apply it to your life like a Bereans. You know what I'm saying? And then Paul said this, follow me as I follow Christ.
Yeah.
So when I look for an influencer, I'm looking at their life and saying, okay, look, is this person a follower? I'm reading the front and the back matter of the book, right? When you pick up a book, everyone gets excited about the front page. No, it's the front and the back matter that matters. You know what I'm saying? Like, who is this person? What are they really saying between these pages? And should I spend time with them?
Yeah.
You know, so who's influencing your influencer?
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the
Yeah.
like. I would love to say don't follow influencers, follow apologists, but because it is, and there's so many things, and there's so many things out there now where people say, well, this is what this really means in the Bible. There's nothing behind it, and it sounds good, and you go, oh my gosh, and then you go, no, it's not, at all,
Right?
Like, and there's these guys that get on some of these podcasts, and they take out these clips. When God was talking about God, He's actually making gods, and so there's multiple. It's like, no, that's not what that means at all. If you actually go back, this other guy said, actually, they took it from from this language to this language. It's like, nope, that language wasn't even around then. But you can just throw stuff around and make it sound good. And so it's so easy. And so, I mean, that's my thing. Like, I would say this, and for those of you that are like me, in this, be careful too who you're watching and the negativity that can go around it as they are taking down the people that are saying all the wrong things. So because there are people who are influencers that the only reason they're influencers is they tear apart what everybody else is doing. Now they're right most of the time, but I remember I wrote one guy. I was like, "Hey, can you just highlight somebody that's doing it right?" And I'm like, because it feels like everyone's doing it wrong. And I feel like especially those that are on the service side of things, especially, are all pointing out what the church is doing wrong. Point out what the church is doing right, or a church that is doing it right. Point out the things. Like, you can't just have all the negative, because there's a lot of people deconstructing right now. And a lot of them that are deconstructing that still call themselves Christians, but they don't believe in the Bible. And so they're going to say a lot of things. They're going to call out a lot of people. And look, there are a lot of things that need to be called out, and there's some things that have stayed under rocks that need to be called out. But at the same time, we don't need to throw the entire church in the trash because some people have done it wrong, or it's been done wrong by certain groups of people. Like, what we need to do is we need to, instead of just pointing out all the wrong things, find the ones that are doing it right and follow them. And so I think that's the thing that I can get caught up on, especially, is I can get so focused on, I can see the sermon clips of the people that say, I'm going, I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he said that.
I remember Hal, just with that thought in mind. I remember seeing this on the news. They were talking about how bad crime is in New York on the subway, and they were just talking about it. And this guy, they had a clip of this guy attacking an older lady with a hammer. He's walked down the steps and he attacks this lady with a hammer. It broke my heart, and I was like, he used a tool to attack someone and hurt them that's actually used to build and shelter people. And that's the Bible. So you have people with the Bible, they'll pick the Bible up and they'll hammer people and hurt them with it and use it as a weapon. But some people, and the people you want influencing you, they take that Bible and they build and encourage and cover and strengthen and shower and help you and direct you the way that God, in the secret place, I'll abide under his shadow. I'll abide in his wings. And so that's what we have to realize. You're going to have both out there. And you just got to discern. Like, what do you want? You want things that's going to build you up and that will encourage you in the faith.
And I want to add like one little thing. One, are they there to build God up or build their own platform?
Yes.
Are they trying to make you feel better, or are they trying to help you understand who God is and get you closer to them? Because That's the thing. There's a lot of preachers out there that you will feel incredible at the end of the message, but you have not realized at all the things that you need to change in your life.
Yeah.
Correct.
And at the same time, you don't need to sit there and yell at people the entire time. There's conviction and hope that need to come with it.
Right.
But if someone is just saying things that make you feel just like you're fine, that's a problem too. Because there's things we all need to change.
Right.
And so what are they trying to do? What is the goal? If you look at their body of work, are they building up God? Are they making God famous? Or are they making themselves famous?
Yep.
Are they trying to just build you up? Or are they trying to help you understand who you are, that you are a child of God, but you still have work to do?
Yeah. It's good.
It's good.
And when we talk about influencers, right, you're getting influence from. I love that you brought up books, right? It's not just social media. It's not just people with a mic, right? Whatever you're letting in your sense gates is influencing you. So we have to be super protective of that.
Yeah.
And make sure that they have, my father-in-law calls it the fruit on the tree, right? It's not a dying tree that you're listening to.
Yeah.
That's a term you just used that we don't hear very often in the church anymore. You said your sense gates. Could you elaborate on that?
We're talking about what has access to your brain, right? Your eyes, your ears, what you're taking in, what you speak, it comes back through you, right? But anything that you want to add on
because I
what
think,
you let in?
Yeah, exactly. Like we don't talk about that kind of stuff anymore.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like whatever, right? Like whatever I want to do, and you don't tell me what to watch, and you don't. I know I don't really want to, but you have to realize that you watching that is influencing you in some way, and it's planting a seed in you spiritually, right? And so, I'm glad that you brought that up because that's one of those old. I've been a Christian 27 years, so there's some of that old school stuff. And you're like, that's it. I remember that, right?
Oh yeah, we'll have to do a whole episode on this because I had a whole conversation about music and what music you listen to and what you should music.
Another influencer in your life you don't even realize.
Influencer, and we got into this whole thing. We're not going to talk about it now. We're going to do a whole episode on talking about art. But I'll say this when it comes to music, so everyone knows this. I remind them, music is the only thing that doesn't need your permission to get into your soul.
Whoa.
Doesn't need it. It just shows up. Fast, slow, doesn't matter the mood of the music. It doesn't need your permission. Everything else you need to watch or you need to say. Music, you can feel music even if your ears are closed. So it doesn't need your permission. It shows up. And the things that you don't think are happening to you, they are happening to you. Good or bad, they are happening to you. It immediately touches an emotional area. And I try to remind people this all the time. Satan, Lucifer, is a master musician.
Yes.
He was created to do music. The Bible says that he's made out of instruments. So he's made out of violins and strings and organs and trumpets and jewels. So not only is he a master musician, he's fine. The Bible calls him an angel of light. So he looks good. And the Bible says that he's wise. So here we have someone who's musical, who's good looking, who's wise and crafty. Because we think, because we like the beat. Oh, I don't listen to the beat. That's exactly what he thought you would say. Because he knows if you listen to the beat, you'll forget the lyrics. He knows if I have the lyrics, the right ones at the right time will do the right thing. I mean, if we're really honest, I guess we've just turned into the episode. If we're really honest,
that part.
If we're really honest, music directs us more than we think it does.
It does.
It creates mood. When was the last time you wanted to like clean up your house? Like on a Saturday morning, you go, we're gonna do some spring cleaning. We're gonna do some, and you put on you put on the saddest song you can find. You don't do that. No, because you want a certain type of energy. You want a certain type of vibe.
That's so true.
So you're gonna put something that's upbeat, that's uplifting, and you like, I've done it. You might put on Michael Jackson. You be like, don't stop till you get enough. Keep scrubbing these floors. Like, you gonna,
a little hype song.
Yeah, you're gonna put on something that's got some hype, and while you're just like, I'm just jamming out to that, it's getting inside.
Yeah, Yeah.
And those things, it will change your thought process. It will change your language. It will change how you see the world. And eventually it will be conversations of, well, it's not that big a deal.
Right. So, all right.
So good.
So
That's so good. And
Protect your house.
that you got to protect those gates, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been 35, almost 40 years. Teenage Ralph Johnson, and I won't give the person credit, but I listened to rap music when I was growing up. And they were telling me I was a pimp and a hustler
yeah.
and a player and to look at women a certain way. That influenced my young mind
Yeah.
to the point where I thought, yeah, I am a pimp, hustler, and player.
Yeah.
I ought to wear this and I ought to wear that and I ought to look this way and I ought to look that way. And it's funny, you say, oh, I was just listening to the beat. But I could sing a couple of those songs right now. Not on podcast.
Yeah.
But if I'm being real with y'all,
Don't do it on the podcast.
it was in my soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I still remember the words. Like I can't get rid of the words because, but now I don't live it out anymore.
Yeah.
Because I've been born again. But that is the power of music, man.
That's
I
the
can't
power.
wait for that episode, man. That's gonna be good.
I tell people, I remember talking in the exchange, I'm like, ladies in here, if I played a certain song, there's some of you that would not be able to stop moving in your seat. Like there's certain songs that you just gotta start moving to. You gotta start there is a visceral reaction to it. I mean, think about it. Like even on breakups, I mean, I remember Boys and the Men, freaking like it's the end of the road. And so we use it for all types of things, but it is, and I think but it's so true when you understand who the enemy is.
Yeah.
Right.
You understand his tactics a lot more.
Right.
And so that's why worship is so important because you're always worshiping something.
Yes.
Whether you realize
Because
it or
we're
not.
created for it.
We're created for it.
And the top worshiper is going to do everything he can so that we don't worship God.
Yep.
Because these songs don't have focus on God.
Right.
They have focus on us and our stuff. So if I can get you to, I don't have to have a song that's talking about demons. I just have to have a song that's talking about you. As long as the song is not talking about God, that's the goal. If all the music that he was supposed to be doing was to focus on God, all I have to do now is to get you to not focus on God.
Right.
You're going to focus on problems, issues, what you're wearing, getting the bag, who you with, what kind of relationships, all that kind of stuff. I'll get you to focus on those things, and I'll make that the priority for you. So, all right. I digress.
Wow.
We'll pick this up later.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
I do feel like I can listen to certain R&B songs now because I can sing them to my wife. So it's okay now. Like I think there's like some genuine that I can bring back.
So did you just
Man, you
and he
went,
said it in the mic.
he went heavy on it.
No comment.
But anyway,
No comment.
Do not comment your favorite song.
I'm not even
to your
gonna,
wife.
I'm not even going to say the next thing I was going to say.
Yeah. No.
I'm saving it.
Yeah.
Not saying.
Well, they'll have to come back for part 2.
Yes.
This is hilarious. We covered so many things. Return and remain. We talked about staying in God's presence. We talked about remaining in the word, in that covering, that anointing. We talked about influencing. Who's influencing you? Protecting your gates. Protecting this. Any closing thoughts from you all? The most controversial question that has ever come up on the show actually came up last week.
Yeah.
most controversial.
Most controversial, is speeding a sin?
Yeah.
And so we don't need to dive into that. But if you don't have any closing thoughts, just give me your hot take, yes or no.
Go watch
Is-
last week.
Is
Romans.
speeding a sin?
Look in Romans.
Yes.
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
I don't need to say anything. You can go watch what I
Right.
said last week. So
I'll put it like this. If everyone was speeding, would you feel safe?
Well, that's how I grew up in South Florida.
Did you feel safe?
No, I just felt like I had to go fast. It's like go with the flow of traffic. We're going 95. That's why it's called
Yeah.
I-95. But no,
All right,
Romans.
but, yeah.
The Book of Romans talks about it. So
Right.
Yep.
yeah.
It's
So it doesn't matter what we think. It matters
No.
what the word says.
There you go.
Yeah.
Send in your questions, your comments, your feedback. We want to know. We want to
Yeah.
hear. Y'all see, we have a lot of fun here. But at the end of the day, we want you guys to leave with practical application for living
Right.
every day.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
send the stuff in.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. And thank you guys for joining us for another episode of The Pastor's Hangover. We can't wait to see you next week.